I want to talk about Code Vein. Came out nearly a month ago, but there's probably not enough reviews about the game, so I'll give you my own opinion. And I won't hide it. I'll just go ahead and tell you up front, I love it. If you like Dark Souls, you'll like it. If you like Demon Souls, you'll like it. If you like Bloodborne, you will like the game. If you like Neo, you'll probably like the game, even though Neo is it's a different ballpark. But this one, yeah, it's definitely a carbon copy. It kind of feels like what Konami did with Metal Gear Survive, how they just took leftover assets and made a whole game out of it. I feel like when Miyazaki and team packed up on the Souls series, or assuming they did, they're working on the Elden Ring, or Elden Rings, I forget what it's called. But I think somebody at Bandai had the great idea, like, hey, we've got all this leftover, level design and nonsense. We should make another game out of it, because that's exactly what it feels like. The main difference is when you make a character, they're basically an anime character rather than medieval dark fantasy kind of character. And the backgrounds and whatnot still look Dark Souls, like everything is still all scary and nasty, but you've got these anime characters running around, so it kind of doesn't fit very well, but it does. I love it. You can make, great looking girls. You can make cool looking dudes. It seems almost like there's more weapons in this game than there were in Dark Souls. Customization is definitely off the chart. What does suck a little is you're restricted to like 5 different outfits that you can pick, and then you can put your blood veil on top of it. And there's different types of blood veils that all have different attributes. Some are faster than others. Some have better defense. Some have better attacks. I think there's like 5 different categories, and there's a couple different in each. I think I already got the trophy for maybe getting all of them, so there's not too much variety to them. And then you can upgrade them. The upgrades and everything are just like Dark Souls, where I think in this it's called Queen Steel or Queen Iron, and then Queen Ore, and then you have to get, two to upgrade, four to upgrade, six to upgrade, two steels to upgrade, and it just progressively goes up like that with the weapons and the blood veils. Um, I don't think there's covenants. In this one, there's this, you get a thing called a blood code. But unlike the covenants where there's only a couple, blood codes are throughout the whole entire game. I'm pretty sure I'm in like the probably second quarter of the game, and I have like 20 blood codes, and each blood code has probably uh, median range between all of them, probably about 10 different codes. And within the code, you can buy all these different abilities. You can buy slashes, you can buy health boosts, stamina boosts, all that. And all the currency in the game is souls or blood points, or I'm not sure what it's called in this one, but you get the idea. You basically, all the stages are the same. Instead of bonfires in this one, you've got these little flowers. They've got some jargon name that I can't remember, but it's a bonfire. And just like Souls, and just like it took from Castlevania, you'll play nearly an entire level and then you'll get to the end and open a door that's a shortcut back to the beginning part of the level. Or halfway through the level, you'll open a door that leads to a save point in a different level that you were at previously. So it's all interconnected. One thing I did notice with the bonfires or flower petals, whatever they are, if you there's one right at the beginning of the game, and there's a staircase next to it. If you run up the staircase and turn around, there's a fog gate right where the bonfire was. And at first I thought it was saying like, "Oh, you're stuck. You got to keep going forward." But then I realized it was just loading. It takes like 30 seconds if you go too far into the next area. If you want to turn around and go back, you're gonna have to wait for the game to load again. And it doesn't pause, but you have to wait for that fog gate to dissipate before you can go back to the previous areas of the game. So, like I said, it's basically the same game as Dark Souls. And I'm not saying, everybody says anything is like Dark Souls. It could be God of War, and people compared that to Dark Souls. Which is funny because when God of War came out, it semi copied Lament of Innocence, Castlevania. And then when the sequel, or not the sequel, but the new Castlevania series came out, Lords of Shadow, it played just like God of War. So, every single game copies off each other to improve upon the formula. But this isn't even copying. This is still Bandai Namco, and it's the same game. You have an Estus. Well, I don't know what it's called. I literally forget what it's called, but it's the same as the Estus Flask. The controls, this one is square and triangular attack. I think L1 or R1, one of them is like a block parry, but the animation is so ridiculously drawn out. I can't tell like when the frame is because your character will like do this power up stance and then swing their weapon. I don't know if you're supposed to parry the attack at the beginning of that animation, the middle, or the end. I couldn't figure it out. I never do it. Um, Backstabbing is same as in Bloodborne with the visceral attacks. If you get right behind him, it shows this little 5 second animation of your character ramming some sort of weapon through them and blood spraying all over the place, which is pretty cool. But looking at the game, I was expecting it to be like a dark fantasy anime, but it looks that way, and it's very bloody. But all the characters in the game are so positive versus Dark Souls, where every single character that you talk to is just basically like, good luck. I don't care if you die. This one, everybody, like the leader of your team, will just praise you nonstop. Anytime you kill anything, oh, great job. Keep up the good work. I'm here to help you. And that's another thing. You get a companion through the whole entire game. Kind of like how in Dark Souls you could get a companion outside of like boss rooms. This one, you literally always have a companion and they will heal you. You can get wasted, and as you're like showing the death animation falling over, your teammate can use their own health to regenerate you, and they'll do that up to like 3 different times or more if they haven't been hit. And obviously, you can call co-op if you want to play with a friend. You don't consume anything when you do it, or at least I haven't noticed. You just go into it says I think you click L3 or press the pad or something, and it says ask for assistance, and you just go in there and set a password and have your friend set the password so you can join their game or vice versa. But just like Dark Souls, once you beat the boss, they're going to disappear back to their world. I'm not sure how nerfed you are when you go to a friend's world. I was playing it with my son, and when I was in his world, I only had 3 Estus, but in my world, I had 6. But otherwise, I'm pretty sure I was doing about the same amount of damage, which is if you don't like grinding, you're not gonna like this. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. I grind. If I can't beat a boss, I mean, I don't keep beating my head against the wall. I go out and I level up, 5 times or so, and then I come back and I try it again. I mean, I don't get, sometimes if I beat a boss that I'm, lower leveled for, yeah, that's exciting. But if I can't beat them 3 times in a row and I'm not showing any sign of progression, yeah, I'm gonna go level up a little bit, which you shouldn't be ashamed of. At least I'm not. The bosses, like I said, they reused a lot from Dark Souls. I don't think the bosses were one of them. There is a plethora of enemies and bosses in this game that all look very different. There are some color palette swaps, but for the most part, most of them look pretty unique. The world's pretty in an ugly way. Like I guess it's supposed to be our world, but in the future where everything's been ripped apart and you've got these vampires running around. But I definitely like the way it looks. There's pitfalls all over the place, just like in Dark Souls. But they're not as hidden. It's not one of those where you're going to walk and some enemy's going to jump out of a door frame and knock you off the side, and then you're never going to get those souls back. It's pretty, it's pretty forgiving. I haven't fully lost my souls ever, I don't think. I've rarely died in the game. I think the worst part was, I don't know if it was the third or fourth area. You'll know when you see it. It basically looks like lace doilies all over the place. It's this gigantic castle with all these catwalks and towers that are all interconnected, and some of them have holes in them. Some of the ground breaks, and it just looks like this. There's like 20 switches, there's 8 checkpoints. It is ridiculous. Like when you look at it, it would be like if like tree limbs, like pull a tree out of the ground and turn it horizontal and like look at all the limbs, like you could walk on them like branching paths. That's what this level looks like. It is totally intimidating. I think that's the boss that I'm on. I didn't fight the boss. I watched the cutscene and saved, and I haven't played it in a little while. I'll fire that back up. So yeah, I haven't beaten the game. I'm just giving you the impression. I mean, I've put 20 hours into it, leveling. I've gone through the first 4 levels. I don't think anything's going to change. The music, it's got great music. It's whoever made this game, somebody at Bandai, somebody in upper management or something just wanted to make their ultimate game. Like, you've got all these very very voluptuous waifus running around that hardly ever wear clothes. Like in the cutscenes, there's a really long cutscene when you get Mia, I think her name is, where it like introduces her to the group, and everybody's just walking around their underwear for 10 minutes. And I'm not arguing with it, but it's funny because there's no lewdness to it. None of the male characters or anything, nobody flirts or says anything sexual in the game. They just look like that, and they just all like act like they can't see it. But anywho, when you're in your little hub, there's jukeboxes that you can play, and they all have like this. I don't think it's J-pop. I think they're singing English, but it's like these I don't know. It's like synth electronic rock music. It's real edgy. I like it. It sounds cool. It sounds like it probably would have done real well 20 years ago, but nowadays the only people listening to it are going to be me and me. But yeah, I like it. The music's great. The graphics look fine. I can't say anything negative about the game. Oh, if you do lose your souls, you can get half of them back. If you go to there's a hot or not a hot tub, but a hot spring at your base, and if you go soak in it, it's like supposed to be a meditation, and you restore half of your points. Now, if they're totally lost, like if you came back and you couldn't grab them and you died, they're gone. They're gone, gone, gone. But if you come back and they're in a real dangerous area and you don't feel like going and getting them, you can just go to the hot springs and get half of them and sacrifice the other half, which I haven't done. I went to the hot spring to check it out, but like I said, I haven't had any difficulty getting the souls back, nor have I really died enough to worry about it. But I don't think the game's going to get too much harder. I haven't ran into a brick wall or anything. And in most of the Souls games, I didn't either. I mean, Blighttown was kind of a nightmare to navigate, and same with the Iron Keep? Is that what was in Dark Souls 2? But yeah, there might be some bad navigation, like that stage I told you about with the castle, doilies all over the place. But yeah, I think it's gonna stay about the same throughout the whole thing. I'm not sure how long it is. I was getting a little. I said it was pretty, but I was getting a little tired of the landscape. But it looks like the next area I go to is like snowy mountains, so we'll see how that works out. But yeah, if you like Souls, you're gonna like this game. If you like Souls and you're not very good at it, I would still try this because it's a lot easier. You can do co-op at no expense. Your AI teammate bails you out. The enemies are not nearly as strong as they are in Dark Souls. And if you like anime, you'll definitely like this game. So I say check it out. Or, save your money and don't check it out. The choice is yours.